करके मेरा दिल भी झूमे, मेरा दिल भी झूमे।
We are very fortunate to have with us today Sri Salil Chowdhury. Salilda has been associated with some of the finest Hindi film music. Salilda spent over 3 decades with the Hindi film industry. Although he was never very prolific, some of his songs gained instant popularity and remained evergreen in the memory of people who were fond of music at the point of time. Today, Salilda, people associate you with some of the most popular Hindi film music. The films that come to mind are Madhumati, Anand, Rajnigandha, Chhaya, Jagte Raho, Maya, and of course the unforgettable Malayalam film Jameen. When and at what point of time did you come to Bombay?
Well, I came to Bombay in 1953. We may call it a stroke of luck. Before coming to Bombay, I was doing music for Bengali films, and some of them were very big hits also, like Pasher Badi, Barjatri, Parivartan, films like that. Then I had been writing a script for a Bengali movie about a peasant who is disowned of his land and comes down to Calcutta to earn money as a rickshaw puller. So that episode was liked immensely by Rishikesh Mukherjee. He said, "You narrate it to Bimalda," that is Bimal Roy. He was expected to come to Calcutta from Bombay. So we took an appointment. I read out the entire script to him to get his opinion about it. Because Bimalda by the time was very well known. He made his Bengali film Udayar Pathe, and first Hamrahi was also made by him. So he didn't say anything, good, bad or indifferent, but asked me to meet him the very next morning. Next morning when I went, I was told that he has gone back to Bombay on an urgent call for the morning flight. But within a week I got a telegram that he intended to make that story into a Hindi film if I am interested. And naturally I agreed, and that is how I came down to Bombay with my script of Do Vi Zameen.
You were involved in various movements before you came to Bombay.
You mean cultural movements?
That's right.
Political movements, yeah. Actually, from my childhood I was involved with the student movement. And as a student I was a musician also, because I was initiated to music from my very childhood, from the age of 5 or 6. So I was already a musician when I was in my schools. I used to play flute, I used to play harmonium, I used to play Israj. And during my college days I started composing also. So my first popular hit, so-called, mass song, Ganasangit, जिसको हम बोलते हैं, that was Bicharpati Tomar Bichar Koj Bejara Aaj Jegetse Ei Janata, which means, "Oh, you judge, the days of your judgment is come because the people are awake." So this song was written and composed during the British were trying the INA prisoners and the so-called terrorists who had come back from the Andamans. So after that I started living in a village of my uncle's, maternal uncle. And there was a big peasant uprising in those areas of 24 Parganas, South 24 Parganas, near the Kakdeep and others. So I got involved into the peasants movement. Then I started writing songs for the peasants, even before the IPTA came. Then during the 1944, the Bengal famine days, where 50 lakhs of Bengali peasants died on the street of Calcutta asking for just a bowl of rice water, not also rice. 50 lakhs of people I saw in my own eyes in the year 1944. Then the upsurge of cultural movement in protest against this sort of, which is a man-made famine actually, because of the black marketeers and the hoarders. So I full length went into the movement, and before I could finish my MA, arrest warrants were against me, and I joined the IFTA movement as a whole-time Communist Party member also. And for more than 2 years I was in the underground in the Sundarbans, hiding in the paddy fields, in the jute fields. But everywhere the peasants used to love me, and almost every day I used to compose songs for the movement, for different political movements. Gradually, the IFTA movement, I became one of the initiators of the Bengali cultural movement in writing plays, composing songs, hundreds of them, which are even today popular in Bengal, many of them.
Now, Dada, you have composed in almost 13 languages. Not being familiar with each and every language, has this been a kind of an obstacle in your compositions?
Well, no, because, through the years, film music has developed a language of its own, which is understood all over the country, whether it is south or north, east or west, which is, I call, the language of the film music. So a Bengali song, a melody of a Bengali song, which was a very big hit in Bengali, became a very big hit in Malayalam also. This is my life's experience. And became a hit in Odia also. Because film has developed a common language, which our national integration has not been able to do. We could do in films. And that is, I think, is a great achievement. Because a common language in films, Indian films, has been achieved, which is understood all over the country. I think all over the Indian subcontinent. So, whenever I was told a particular situation, say in a Malayalam film, that this is the situation where the song will be required. So I normally in Hindi also I do the same thing. I make a melody, giving expression to that particular sentiment. If it is emotional, if it is a romantic, or if it is a very much pathetic, whatever it is. So I compose tunes, and the lyric writer is asked to set in words. And that is how most of my songs, even the greatest hits of Madhuvati, have been written like that. I made the tune first, then Shailendra wrote the lyrics. Some, lyricists, they object to this. They say, why should you not tune up lyric? Because you are trying to cut the dead body to fit the coffin. Now the argument is, which is the coffin and which is the dead body? So I think I can cut the lyric, which is the coffin, to suit the dead body or the body of my music, which should be in. But I have been very, very successful, I must say, during the last 35 years of my career, that usually the lyricists, they write better on a given melody.
The 50s and 60s, which even today are looked upon as the golden age of Indian film music, this was a period when, even as one heard the first few bars of a song, one could say this is a composition by S.D. Burman, this is Naushad, this is Shankar Jaikishan, this is Lakshmikant Pyarelal, or C. Ramchandra, or Salil Chowdhury, Madan Mohan, and so on. Why is it that this is no longer possible? That's one part of my question. Now, the other point I want to raise is, what is it that distinguished your music from those of the others?
One thing is the originality of a composer makes him stand out. While listening to a few bars of Burman, you will easily know that this is S.D. Burman. Same goes for Naushad Bhai or Shankar Jaikishan or Madan Mohan, because they had developed their distinctive style of expression, which the composers of nowadays are not doing. Maybe they are finding it easier to plagiarize a tune from a hit pop song or something like that. Or they are making too many songs, because somebody, I am told, is doing 30 pictures, 35 pictures, 40 pictures. He has to compose songs in a day, maybe 8 or 10. You cannot make music a commercial production that way, So naturally, the originality and other things, they don't have the time to think about it. Otherwise, I don't think there is any lack of talent amongst the composers of today. There may be many talented composers, but somehow The requirement of the film is different than in our olden days regarding my own distinctive style, as you say. It was not as much by design, but by my desire to express myself in a different way. You know, even during the Ipta days, for example, the song which I mentioned, Bichar Puti Tomar Bichar, that is the Kirtanang. Kirtan is usually a devotional media of music in Bengal, as in everywhere else also. But I use the same Kirtan melody to make a revolutionary song of protest in that song which I mentioned, Bichar Puti Tomar Bichar. I'll say, for example, the Kirtan, popular Kirtan in Bengal is Jamune Tumi Ki Shei Jamuna Provahini. You know, taking the same mode. Bichar Puti Tomar Bichar Kurbe Jara Aj Jegeche Shei Jannota. So this gives a different dimension, although the basic melody is the same. So the desire to express myself as the requirement of the content made me change the format of the music also, the form. The form should not determine the content. That is my belief. I think the content should determine the form.
And there was also this very strong Western classical element in your music.
Yeah, because from my childhood, I might have told you, my father was very fond of Western classical music. We had a very big collection of Western classical symphonies. My father himself was a good musician in spite of his being a physician. And we had quite a few number of classical and semi-classical music also. For example, we had collection of Fayaz Khan and semi-classical like K.C. Days and Minal Kanti Ghosh, Shyama Sangeet and all that, which I had been hearing from the age of 3 or 4, you know, gramophone, that Chongawala used to play, my father used to play. So that had indirectly gone into my blood. That is why maybe the symphonies of the Western music I could never think it as foreign, because I was initiated into it from my childhood, early childhood. Then when I came to Calcutta for my studies, my elder brother, Salil Chowdhury, he was the director of an orchestra club. And the club was situated in our house itself. So another thing during the Ipta days, we used to have conferences, annual conferences, where artists from all over the country used to come and assemble. And there used to be camps. So you can have a representative of total Indian culture in those camps. And I used to be very curious, go into each camp, learn songs from them, from South India, from North India, from East India, West India. You know, it was really, for me it was a music university. And I learned music from those conferences and from the coolies' music in Assam tea gardens and from the peasant songs.
That would be the folk element.
Yeah. And about symphonies, I started learning piano at the age of 6 or 7 under my elder brother.
And what were the popular songs that you based on the Western symphonies?
Symphonies, as far as I remember, it has influenced many of my songs. But one which is directly influenced, which can be immediately recalled is Itna Na Mujhse Tu Pyar Badha in Chhaya. It was taken from G minor symphony of Mozart. That melody, that one. Apart from that, we see the interlude music and what we call the obligato in music, which is the music which runs in oblique movement to the main melody. Say the melody is going like this, in oblique way the counter melody is running. That is a Western technique of using the harmony and counterpoint. That I have been using very, very much. And the interlude music and other things in a distinctly different way. Not interlude music for the sake of interlude music, but as a part of the whole music. That is why you will find many a time people who sing my songs, they sing the interlude music also. It is very much of a part of the song. And when I had collected quite a number of Western folk songs also, Russian folk songs, Czechoslovak, Hungarian folk songs, American folk songs. That was folk music was my passion. For example, Bichua, as I was talking about Indian folk music.
That's Madhumati.
Madhumati. That melody I had learned from the coolies of Assam. Then in the same film, Madhumati, another song was Dil Talap Talap Dil. That one. This is a Hungarian folk.
दिल तड़प तड़प के कह रहा है आ भी जा तू हमसे आँख ना चुरा तुझे कसम है आ भी जा दिल तड़प तड़प के कह रहा है आ भी जा तू हमसे आँख ना चुरा तुझे कसम है आ भी जा नहीं तो ये बहार क्या बहार है गुल नहीं खिले का तेरा इंतजार है तू नहीं तो ये बहार क्या बहार है गुल नहीं खिले का तेरा इंतजार है क्या तेरा इंतजार है क्या तेरा इंतजार है दिल तड़प तड़प के कह रहा है आज जा तू हमसे आँख ना चुरा तुझे कसम है आज जा
And in Dobigasm, in that famous song, Mausam Bita Jai, that was inspired, not lifted, but inspired by a Russian Red Army March song. Can you believe? And the scale is surprisingly light. So I added one, in the very beginning, one phrase, Bhai re, Ganga ya Yamuna ki आ गया पीछे सबको जाना है पर then comes धरती कहे पुकार के but this is pure Bhairavi and I adapted it into like this because that Mausam Bita Jai this is my the original was Mausam da ra 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 using the Suddha Gandhar. In that I used Kamal Gandhar to make it softer and in tune with our... And the Antara and other things are made completely by me.
धरती कहे पुकार के ईद बिठा ले प्यार के मौसम बीता जाए 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 अपनी कहानी छोड़ जा कुछ तो निशानी छोड़ जा कौन कहे इसको
In this way I took my raw materials from Western music, Indian music, from folk music, from different, but I patterned them in a way which fulfills my content.
अपनी कहानी छोड़ जा कुछ तो निशानी छोड़ जा कौन कहे इसको
Speaking of Jagte Raho, this was also the first time that the Bhangra was introduced on screen.
Right, you're right. That was for the first time that thanks to Raj Kapoor, he wanted Bhangra to be introduced. So I listened to hundreds of Bhangras from here and there. And then luckily my friend Prem Dhawan, he was in IPTA, a very good lyricist, and he used to make really good tunes also. Actually, to be very frank, it was his contribution more than mine. I made it into a beautiful orchestration and made the variations.
मार मार के बन गए लोग अमीर मैं इन मैनू कहंदा चोरी दुनिया कहंदी तकदीर ते की मैं झूठ बोलिया कोई ना ते की मैं कुफर तोलिया कोई ना ते की मैं जहर घोलिया कोई ना भाई कोई ना भाई कोई ना ओ हट के बड़ा जी बच के
And that way, if I become nostalgic, I can remember so many melodies I heard here and there, and they create a crisscross of effects on your musical horizon, out of which sometimes I will pick up some melody which I had heard in my childhood. For example, in Naukri, that song, you remember?
Chota Sa Ghar Hoga.
Chota Sa Ghar Hoga. That was a Nepali folk song, the Mukhra, which I had learned in my childhood from a, Nepali Tarwan. So he used to hum that tune, like that. So that used to haunt me. So at one particular moment I thought that I sang the melody to Shailendra when we were doing music for Naukri. Shailendra immediately wrote that immortal lines. He was a great that way. Can you conceive that Bichua, that those lyrics can be written on tune? Nobody believes. I give him this much I give him. Yeah. Because the genius to come out with such wonderful words which is poetry at the same time and so beautifully scanned and rhythm. So I miss Shailendra even today.
Of all your compositions, which one would you say has given you maximum satisfaction?
Well, it's very difficult to say because all my compositions are like my children. And for a father to say which child you like most, which child gave you the maximum. But even then there are a given situation gave you the maximum scope to expand your composition. Like that, say, O Sajna Barkha Baharai. That sort of melody, which has become evergreen. Or Madhumati Ajare Pardesi. Actually, do you know one thing? Ajare Pardesi, this particular melody was used in Jagte Rao's background music. Yes. If you see Jagte Rao, you will see wherever Raj Kapoor is thirsty and tries to drink water, something happens, he cannot drink water.
That's right.
So this dissatisfaction of his, he cannot quench his thirst. So there, da ra 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 da, this melody I used. Every time that sequence comes. Later on, Shailendra told me, Dada, this tune is very beautiful, why can't you make a song? And he wrote the first line, Raja Re Pardesi, like that.
And at that time there was no Madhumati inside.
No, that was Madhumati.
It was Madhumati.
It was being done and we were sitting for the music composition.
It's almost 10 years now since you left Bombay. You've gone back to Calcutta, and what are you doing now?
I wanted to be self-employed, number one. So I made a studio, sound recording studio. Secondly, I wanted to experiment on music, different aspects of music with the development of electronic media in music. There are so many synthesizers, samplers, and other things which have developed through the development of science, that the scope of a composer is gone 100-fold. In my multi-track studio, which has got 8-track and 12-channel, that means you can use 96 microphones in turns. And a synthesizer which can give you tonalities of, say, 30-40 instruments. You alone yourself play and record in different tracks. And then sit on the mixer and mix it. You can yourself make a symphony orchestra. It can be one-man orchestra. That sort of design and desire I had in my mind when I thought of making my own studio and hire it out for my bread and butter. And at the time when it is not being hired out, I can do these experiments which you cannot do in a hired studio. You can do only... That is why you will find almost all the composers of Europe, America have their own studio where they make the basic soundtrack and then they develop it. So that was, these two were the most important thing. Thirdly was, I started feeling that I am not suitable to the type of music that is being churned out and that is being required by the film world of Bombay. I thought myself a misfit. So people who fit in into that thing, they came in and they became successful. I congratulate them for being what they are. But it was not my cup of tea. These are the three reasons why I migrated to Calcutta, although my connection with Bombay and Madras has not been cut off completely. For example, Arvindan's last film, Bastuhara, the music I composed. And before the film was released, I was shocked to learn that Arvindan is no more. And recently I had been there to make one film of Hariharan. I composed the songs. Then I have been coming quite often to Bombay to do some serials for Vasu Chatterjee, Rishikesh, or some old friends of ours. And I did Charitraheen also, which was telecast recently, and some telefilms also.
Looking back now, Dada, how would you assess your life? Is there something you would want to be different?
Well, I think an artist can never be satisfied. I personally feel that I could have done much better. And many more things which in my imagination I hear, beautiful melodies, beautiful symphonies, I can catch hardly 20 or 30% of them. So that remains. But I must say that I have a feeling of fulfillment. I got tremendous love and affection from the people all over the country. And that satisfies me much more than anything else. And in a word, I think that feeling is reflected in that song, Zindagi Kaisi Pehli Hai, which Manade sang in Anand.
Zindagi kaisi hai pehli hai, kabhi to hataaye, kabhi ye rulaaye. जिन्होंने सजाए यहाँ मेले, सुख दुख संग संग झेले, जिन्होंने सजाए यहाँ मेले, सुख दुख संग संग झेले, वही चुनकर खामोशी यूं चले जाए अकेले कहाँ. जिंदगी कैसी है पहेली हाय, कभी तो हंसाए, कभी ये रुलाए. जिंदगी कैसी है पहेली हाय, कभी तो हंसाए, कभी ये रुलाए.